Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Nest. It is our final episode here in Season 3.5, and we are going to be going over the Grand Finals. We're going to be starting off the Majors Division as usual. We have our two guests here. We have the Metric Man himself, Misfit, who is the flex support for Bench Boys.
Hello, that is me. As you can see, I'm currently vibing in the ethereal plane, but it is okay. I can still make the debate.
And we have High Quality, who is here from Crusaders.
Hello.
But yeah, so we're just going to go over the bracket here real quick first. Just kind of make sure you guys are all up to date with how both of these teams got to be in the grand finals. So Bench Boys, being first seed, got a bye. They just were able to start in semis. And same with Crusaders. They went up. Crusaders went up against Dice Rolls, winning it very strongly with a 3-0 against them, sending themselves up to grand finals. And then just on Tuesday, Bench was able to do the same against Velocity University. Velocity University previously getting a 3-0 versus Odyssey, but just wasn't able to quite stand up to Bench Boys. And so they got 3-0'd. And so both these teams, the first and third seed, are going to be meeting here in grand finals. I am super excited to see these teams face off, and they definitely are going to have some words to say here in a second, because basically these teams are just going to be going at each other, talking about why they are the best team, why they deserve to win the grand finals here. Yeah, so let's kind of get into it. So I just want to first have High Quality here from Crusaders talk about. You guys only had one match. Each of you guys only had one match, but talk about that match and kind of what you guys are expecting coming into finals.
For the most part, my team's pretty confident going into finals because, we had a 3 over Dice Rolls, which, while I think it was a bit closer than a 3-0, I still feel confident that we can still do what's necessary to be done to get it done at the end of the day. So, don't think Bench Boys will be much different.
Don't think we'll be much different, huh? Man, ego's coming out already. All right, let me explain to you why it'll be a bit different then. So you guys said this a lot. I don't really understand this, right? I was in the post-game interview with Clutch Caliber, because I casted your game against Dice Rolls, and he said that you guys thought Dice Rolls was going to be your hardest opponent. And to be honest, I frankly do not understand why you'd think that, given that both of their regular season losses came from the two teams in the other semifinals. So I'd like you to explain that one to me real quick. Why did you guys think that Dice Rolls was going to be your hardest opponent?
Well, here's your first problem, Misfits. You're taking anything Clutch says at face value.
That's true.
But in all fairness, though, Dice Rolls has some really good members. Specifically, Kai, I know, was giving us a lot of issues. So, and in the past, I've noticed we've kind of struggled against a strong hit scan presence. And realistically, I think out of the opponents left in the playoff, I think we thought Kai was going to be our biggest issue. So, take it as you will, I guess.
Understandable. As far as my team, I mean, we're very confident coming into this. Obviously, we did have to, completely rebuild our team from the bottom up. We lost our IGL halfway through the season, which is not ideal, not really what you like to see. So we had to completely, restructure the way our team works in games. Our comp structure had to be redone. We had some people who had to switch roles to compensate since we couldn't find anyone to try out for main tank. So now Blackman's on that main tank role after proving himself to be one of the best off tanks in the league. Not ideal. We would prefer that he could stay on off tank, but he has put a lot of work in on the main tank role. And I have to say he's definitely going to be able to stand up there with the best. He's been doing it in scrims, and I have a lot of faith in him. I have a lot of faith in my team to pull this one out after all the work we've put in over the past few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys, you've already kind of talked about how you're feeling confident, Misfit. Can you tell us a bit about what happened in the game versus Velocity University to kind of get you guys into that grand finals position?
Man, I mean, we played really sloppy in that match. Obviously, the scoreline's a 3-0, and I'm not going to act like Velocity isn't a good team because they are. They have a lot of good stuff there. I felt like a lot of it came down to Velocity not being confident to run meta strats. They were running really weird comps against us. And it kind of felt a little strange. Seeing McCree Reaper on Gibby was weird to us. We didn't really understand that. I feel like if they had stuck to their guns, they probably would have had a better chance. But we played a lot slower that game than we typically do. And I think that was a reason why. I mean, like it was a 3-0, but like they had some good moments. Like they brought Gibby. Gibby was close. Kings Row was somewhat close itself, right? They put up a good showing, right? And I think we wanted to have a more dominant showing than we really had. I think that we definitely can play a lot better than we did in that game. But I'm happy with how my team performed. I thought we did pretty well there. Yeah, we will be continuing that going on into the future, but we will need to play more like how we've been playing in scrims right now. I feel like right now we kind of have this disconnect between scrims and games, where in scrims we are like much more relaxed. We're playing much faster. We're playing much better as a team. And in that game, we were a little bit more scrappy, playing a little bit slower. And I think that if we come out like that again, it'll actually be a close game against Crusaders. But if we play like we've been playing in scrims, I don't think they have a chance.
Yes, high quality. What do you have to say to that?
Camera's frozen.
I mean, I think it's good that you're coming in with confidence because that just means that you guys will be playing better. But at the end of the day, you'll play your best, we'll play our best, and better team will come up on top. So
I agree. We will come out on top.
Ah,
I'm just messing. I'm just messing. No, I do actually want to touch on a few things here. So I got a little bit of a question for you because I want to make a point about something about the last game. Do you remember the conversation we had during the Widow 1v1 tournament?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So I will say this. I do think McNewby is a very, very good player. No knocks to Newbie at all. I think he's very, very talented. He had a really, really good game against us on the Sombra. Played very, very well. Had that EMP off cooldown. Very good player. I'm not trying to knock him in any single way here. But you made the claim during that conversation we had in Twitch chat that McNewby Widow diffed CO during our match. Do you still stand by that statement?
I didn't say Newbie Widow diffed. I said McNewbie was the best Widow in Owlet.
Oh, are you sure about that?
Well, considering also at the time of the statement, CO technically wasn't even in Owlet. Yes, I'm very confident with that claim.
So you are confident that you did not make the claim that McNewbie Widow differenced CO?
I mean, in both fights, when the scenario was, because your guys' team style, I think, focuses a lot more on pocketing CO and giving him resources to succeed. I think whenever it's just a pure Widow v Widow, I think Newbie took most of those matchups.
Oh, so can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
How many times did McNewbie kill CO in the game on snipers?
Let me just pull up my stats real quick. I have no clue.
The answer is 0.
How many times is? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, the point I'm trying to make here is that I think you guys take that game in a very strange way. I think you guys take that game at face value a lot more than you should. Because I think you guys remembered a bit differently than what actually happened. I think you guys remember a very dominant win. I feel like you guys are very, very confident in your ability because you think that we were playing around CO here. But the reason I bring this up, the reason I want to point this out, right? You mentioned that we put a lot of resources into CO. And the reason that I'm bringing this up here is because at the time, CO was the only consistent piece in our lineup. We had we had massive roster issues coming into that game. Our IGL had just left. We had to run with a Black Hawk tank line because we didn't have another player. We did not have another. We had 3 DPS player. We had to just throw one of them on off tank and hope it worked. Right. So the only consistent piece we had in our lineup that we had all season that we could consistently rely on was CO. So obviously we were going to play around him in that game. I think it is a very, very bad take to look at that game and say, oh, our strategy relies around pocketing our sniper. No, we had to do that because we didn't have another option. We couldn't trust a tank line that had never scrimmed together in order to run the comps that we would usually be running there. And you know this best of all because you ranked first the night before that game. You know that we didn't have a chance to scrim with Hawk on off tank. You know that it was his first time playing off tank in a competitive setting because he was gone for a week. He didn't have a chance to play with us. So I think that game is not a very good example of the matchup between our two teams. And I think it is going to be a very, very different matchup when we get into the game on hopefully next Tuesday.
Well, obviously the game's going to be different because first of all, the whole main discussion of this argument is the idea of your team playing around CO, which he's not even a factor anymore.
Exactly.
So I think this entire argument is kind of just, I don't want to say redundant, but I get what you're saying there. But it's just not only with the CO claim from that game specifically. I feel like watching all your games prior to that, because there'd just be maps where CO just takes control of games, just because he was given the resources he needed to succeed, and then he got stuff done.
Well, yeah, I mean, we put the guy on Widow because he's a good Widow player. I don't really see an issue with that. That's just what teams do. That's what dice rolls did. Kai's a great Widowmaker, so they played Widow comps. I don't really see how that we didn't even like put a lot of resources into him. And our main comp for most of the season, right, was this Widow Genji like double bubble comp. That was when Milk and Seal were still on the team, right? That was like our main comp, right? But we didn't just hard pocket Seal. We were running Brig. It's like Seal just did his own thing while the rest of us played dive. It wasn't like we just like hard focused on giving him the resources. The only game we did that in was our game against you for the reasons I've already stated. And so I think you're going to, if you take that game at too much face value, I think you're going to be very, very surprised to see what we come out with in our game, because we are a very different team. We play around a very, very different style most games. I don't think that game is a very, very good representation of our typical strategy, even when Sia was on the team.
Well, can I say something to that, Misfit?
Absolutely.
It is another team I remember talking about. Well, we had issues going on during that game. That's why we lost. Or even just as an explanation, not necessarily a reason. Was Hyperion versus MSBY. And when they faced off, it was nearly the exact same score that happened in the regular season. And it is about the same distance apart in time to when you guys lost to Crusaders. And so I don't know, because sometimes it really just does come down to the team overall as opposed to any individual roster issues that were happening on the day.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. The thing you have to understand about Hyperion is they don't understand macro in any way, shape, or form. They don't ult track at all. Oakley does all the fight planning, but Oakley has a tendency to get very, very into his own thing. Like he is likes you in the fact that he's very, very confident in his own mechanics. I coached the scrim for Hyperion once, so I had to see this firsthand. This was close to playoffs. They can vouch for this. Oakley fight plans, right? But he also is a very emotional player. He's very, very into like beating the other hit scan, and that he has a tendency to tilt sometimes when he's making comms, right? And that does affect their team dynamic a lot. We don't have a similar issue like that. Our comm structure is very fluid. It's very well oiled. We have a very nice rotation to how we structure our comm rules. After every fight, it's ult track flight plan, switch it over to the IGL and takes control, right? Every single fight. And that is, I think, a very, very important thing about a difference about our team as opposed to Hyperion, right?
Well,
Hyperion
you are a majors team.
Hyperion relies on their comfort picks. We rely on our macro just being good, right? That is the reason why we are performing so highly in our scrims right now, is because our macro is just better than a lot of the teams that we're scrimming. We play faster, we play like more efficient, we are really smooth with our ult economy. We understand this game very, very well, and we show it when we play.
Yeah, no, I'm not down.
My camera just does not want to work, dude. Silent, just do us a favor. Let's just black out the screen now, because this is just not working out.
Nah, just get the beautiful stills of your face. Easy, but so.
Oh, thanks, Samuel.
Never mind. Easy. But yeah. So I'll kind of let you get more into your thoughts, high quality, and arguments for your team as well.
Okay, so I know we spent the first few minutes of just talking about the comments I've made in the past about like regarding CO and newbie and all like the hit scan difference, but going into this matchup, honestly, because like you said, your team has been experiencing a lot of like roster change ups, and you've had to transfer like roles like IGL, like shot caller, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like my team, I think the only addition we've had since the beginning of this since preseason is we picked up an additional DPS player to flex on to hit scan if we are running 2 hit scans. Okay. So my question
is amazing. I'm not going to say anything bad about Florence.
Florence is nuts. Yes. But like say like your tank line, for example, because like you said, because your original tank line was Milk Blat, then it was Blat Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
And I know whenever we played you guys for a bit, it was Blat Pit Pat, and now it's Blit Hoopa. How can you say that your tank line will have better synergy than, say, my tank line, which has been a constant rotation of either myself and Clutch or Paper and Clutch?
So the reason I can say that confidently, right? Of course, it's really easy to look at all the roster issues we've had and been like, okay, well, Crusaders has had all this time. Like you guys started out as a brand new team too, but like slowly you've just gotten better and better and better, right? And props to you for that. But the thing you have to understand about our team, we're very, very adaptable, right? And we've had a month to put things together now, right? When we were during the regular season, we kind of scrambled to finish the season after we lost Milk, right? We scrambled to restructure our team. We were kind of just throwing things there, and we were pretty much just winning games off of micro, right? Because our mechanics and our skills on our roles were better than every other teams, and so we could just win games. And the only game where that did not happen was the game against you guys, because your micro was the only one in the division that could actually come near ours, right? And you also had control of macro the entire game, because of course we had all those restructuring issues, right? But now after, and I guess it's easy to say, like, look at that and be like, okay, well, obviously Crusaders has the advantage, but I can't help but look at all the work my team has put in over this past month, the grind we've been on, the amount of VOD reviews we've done with Evolix, the amount of coaching we've received, the amount of studying we've done about this game to understand how this meta plays and how to beat it and how to play it and to become better players. It's hard for me not to look at that and be like, there's no way we lose this. Because I have complete faith in my team. I have complete faith in Blackman. Sure, he may have fed earlier in the season, but this man has been going absolutely hard in scrims. He caught a massive case of the main tank difference. I don't know when he did, but he has been dominating like 3.8 players, like easily. He's actually insane. I don't know where this was 4 weeks ago. He needed some time to understand it, but now he's going crazy with it, right? It's hard for me not to look at Hawk, who has proved himself to be the best DPS in this division, bar none, and not say we have a clear advantage there, right? It's hard for me not to look at Pitpat, who has been hard grinding aim training, who's been hard studying this game, who knows the mistakes he made in earlier games, and is ready to make the difference, ready to make the changes necessary to be that high impact player we need him to be. It's so hard for me to just look at all this, look at all the work we put in, and not say we have the advantage in this matchup.
With what you're saying, though, also comes off the assumption that my team is not putting in equal, if not greater amounts of work there, though. Because while you said has been grinding over the last month. My team, while we necessarily haven't been scrimming, we've been playing comp. We've been just doing individual things to help improve ourselves as both teammates and players. So,
no, absolutely, and I'm not discounting anything you guys have done. Obviously, we like you guys. We know you're a good team. That's why we put so much work in, is because we do respect you as our opponents, right? It's not like we don't think you guys stand any chance here, or else we wouldn't have had to put in all that work. But the point is that while you guys, the way you improve in this game, right, when you make big sweeping changes like that, is it's not one like even straight line, right? It's not a diagonal line of improvement, right? It's a quick shoot up and then it's a plateau, right? You guys had your quick shoot up during the regular season and now you plateaued, right? There's only so much better you can get. There's only so much more synergy you can build after you build that solid base, right? We've been the ones building that base, and we are the ones currently on our skyrocket upwards, right? We have not reached our plateau yet, and that is shown by the fact that we have not come to a scrim range yet that has given us a challenge since we've restructured our team, right? We are scrimming 3-5 right now, and we have been dominating in that department. We have been completely macroing teams because we are just so consistent with how we rotate our cooldowns and our knowledge of the game, right? And it's not that you guys aren't putting in work. It's just that it's diminishing returns. After so much time playing together, the amount you can improve as a team is much less than my team, because we had to completely restructure just a month ago. So that's why I think we have improved more in this last month, because we started from a lower point, I should say, right? To explain it in the terms of an anime season I just binged, level 1 and level 50 power will not increase in the same way, right? We started at level 1 and we've had to work our ways up to level 60. You guys started at level 50. You needed much more experience to get your way to level 60 right now, right? We both might be at level 60 in this hypothetical analysis that I'm completely botching right now. But the point being, we have improved more in the last month, and that is why we are so confident in ourselves.
Okay, that's kind of fair, because my original assumption of your thing is you're just saying that you're better, but like you said, that you guys, I would agree with that sense that you had more room to grow, because like you said, you completely demolished your team and started from almost the ground up with, you only replaced really a third of it, but still,
May takes a pretty important slot to replace.
Yes, but I don't know, because I remember whenever I tried out for you guys in the beginning, Blatt was actually already flexing over to main tank, so I don't feel like it's big of a jump for him, honestly.
I can explain that. So Blatt in the off tank role, Blatt's an amazing off tank. Don't get me wrong, Blatt is an outstanding off tank, really, really solid player. But he kind of didn't really enjoy off tank at the start of the season because his thing was like off tanks never really show up as the carries, so he can play super well, but it never really shows up, especially not in like double shield meta. Like you can do some things occasionally, right? But like the big important roles to him were like main tank and DPS, right? And he quickly changed that opinion after playing a lot of DPS and comp. He understands why that role is so bad. But he was just testing if he wanted to like switch over to the main tank role. And at the time, he didn't really want to. And we had Milk who tried out and wanted to come to the team. I'm not gonna lie, we did kind of grief your tryout by having you try out after Milk had already said that he wanted to join. Sorry about that again, but
feels bad, man.
Feels bad, man. But the point being is that Vlad was just like trying it out, right? He just wanted to see if he liked it more than anything. And at the time he didn't, right? But Milk leaving kind of forced him to make the play and step up and be the main tank. And honestly, he's been outstanding at it. And I could not be more proud of how far he's come in the last month.
And also I just want to have a comment as well that why I'm sad we're not doing a 1st to 4 is because I think that's where you might see. If let's say Misfits right and they bench boys does do really well, if you kind of get into those longer matchups, I think that's where you guys might end up having more issues because you guys consistently have 3-0s throughout the regular season, so that's kind of the match length you guys are used to playing. But if you guys get into a longer series, that's where, because it's new information, it's more likely to start breaking down.
Oh, you think we're not screaming assault or something?
No, I'm just saying, like, in general, the longer you play in those hard matchups, I mean, it's going to be a hard matchup, right? So the longer you're in that game, the more it's likely that the new knowledge will break down. You're more likely to revert to old habits, whereas Crusaders' old habits are kind of higher level, as the way you put it.
Yeah. I think that's a fair take. I mean, it is a possibility for sure. But I think you also have to note that this team, like, from the base of Olos has always been a very, very adaptable team back in Minor Season 3. And we, like, the 4 core players of this roster, me, Blatt, Hawk, and Jonathan, are from that roster. We are very, very adaptable players. We are very, very good at recognizing the issues and not making the same mistakes once we know that we're making them. So I think that a long game, in a way, there'd be like a threshold that needed to break there, right? Like, to a certain extent, it might hinder us because we're not used to it, but we also are a very adaptable team. And the longer a game goes on, the more we download our opponents, I think the better we are as a team. So it would be an interesting dynamic. It does make me sad that it's not 1st to 4 because I think that either team does have that adaptability factor. We saw it during our match. Crusaders does have a lot of good in their roster. I'm not going to act like they don't, right? For all I can hype my team up, I have to give credit to Crusaders where credit is due. They are also a very, very good team, and there's a reason they beat us. It's because they controlled the macros so well in our matchup. And while I don't think that will happen again, it is important to know that they could probably do the same thing. They would probably be a very, very adaptable team. So I think a 1st to 4 would be a very, very good thing between our teams. And just unfortunate that we couldn't change the format, I guess.
Yeah. So we are going to have to wrap up soon here, but I kind of want to give the floor over to High Quality a bit.
Yeah,
Misfit and his large mouth is dominating a bit, so I want to make sure you're able to talk about your team a bit more. Any final points you want to make in Crusaders' defense, I guess.
Not really. I feel like I've kind of said what I need to, or felt like I need to say at this point. We feel confident going into the match. We feel confident the individual 1v1s, and we just think we're going to win. So, not too complicated here.
Cool. Well, I think you guys kind of mostly summed up the points for your guys' team. I think it's going to be a really great matchup. I'm really excited for that. And I mean, I don't want to get too... I probably shouldn't mention when you think it's going to be, but it's looking to be towards the end of the weekend, looking into next week, right? For the Majors matchup.
I think the Majors we're kind of looking for Tuesday right now. There are some scheduling issues for the weekend, and we were like, another option was going to be today, but we kind of didn't want to play so quickly after a semi match. So we're going to give it a little bit of time. Yeah. Both teams will have more time to prepare, and we'll hopefully have a very solid matchup where both teams are at their full strength.
Cool. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to watching that matchup. I think it's going to be really an epic one. I think both teams definitely deserve the win if they're able to get it. Yeah, so we are going to be going to a quick break, and then we'll be back with the Minors division and let those two teams face off and get into fun little arguments about their teams as well. So that is going to be it here. And welcome back. We are here now with our minors division. Joining me is going to be from the Koala Kings, QZ is the coach of that team.
Oh, you know it, baby. I'm always ready to pound.
And from MSBY, we have the King, the resident Pharah player, the Flex DPS, the King.
Dude, the cutie himself is here. It's over.
So as you can tell, there's going to be some entertaining guests, but let's take a quick look at our minors bracket here, see what has led to both these teams being in the grand finals. So, starting off in our quarterfinals game, we had Odyssey Esports versus MSBY. MSBY was able to take that with a 3-2, getting a reverse sweep against Odyssey Esports. Then you had Velocity Force going 3-1 against Talonfire. Reportedly a decently close game, but Velocity Force able to win that. Moving on to the semifinals match, we had MSBY getting the upset versus Hyperion, winning 3-2 in that game, winning over the first seed. And in the second semifinals game, we had Koala Kings versus Velocity Force. Koala Kings taking that pretty strongly, 3-1 versus the third seed team. So going into grand finals, we have the second seed and we have the fifth seed, Koala Kings and MSBY. So it's definitely going to be an exciting one. I'm going to let you guys kind of talk about your playoff runs. So let's start with QZ here. Talk about Koala Kings going through playoffs and kind of coming in as well.
I mean, you know, originally we were supposed to be the first seed. A little bit of a mess up. We should have realized that we definitely were not the first seed, but we were kind of preparing for the other side of the bracket. So it was a bit unlucky, but didn't really hurt us too much. We kind of just played our game and kind of just steamrolled over Velocity after first map. We're always like a kind of a slow start kind of team, and I don't really want to make excuses that we're not good on control. But like we're always kind of a team that starts slow. So as soon as we actually got like, you know, all the cheaters out of our system from being streamed on the main channel and stuff like that, we just kind of started to roll. It was honestly not close at all. And we were kind of expecting this. Like we have a lot of confidence in ourselves, and, you know, seeing how not a lot of people around us in the community don't have confidence in us that much, or at least as much as other teams, kind of just hypes us up even more to like prove them wrong kind of thing. So it was kind of expected for us. We didn't really, we don't go into any matches thinking this is good, we're going to lose, or this is going to be a really close one, we might not make this one out. We always go into a match thinking, okay, yeah, we're going to roll this team. Like these teams are trash. But, you know, it was the Velocity Force. Like, I don't want to like, you know, I don't want to say they're like bad because they really weren't. They were a pretty good team. They're really, really good at the meta, and I applaud them on that. They're really decisive. But, you know, when you can't shut down a Pharah, it just gets to a certain point where you can't win the game. So we're just gonna play our game and roll with people.
Cool. Well, King, I will let you guys also talk about MSBY's platform, which is a very exciting one with those 2-3-2s in there.
Did somebody say Farah? Nah, I'm just kidding. So two words on that first match, and honestly on the second one too. Owlet bingo. You know, 3-2. Like, I mean, who doesn't want to win in bingo? I mean, we had to give up 2 maps. Like, obviously we don't want to give up 2 maps, but Owlet bingo is a thing, and we know we're a very competitive team. We want to win, and so, you know, we're like, hey, we can win both games, like 2 birds, 1 stone. It's that simple. You know. So that's really what kind of happened with those 3-2s. I don't really know what else to say. We're a very confident team heading into this grand final. You know, one big thing I will say there, QZ was talking about how their team gets hyped by how the community doesn't really believe in them. My team, we get hyped. I write out some big ass pep talks before our matches. And actually, I've been writing a very, very, very big one. Semper can vouch for me on this. He's been checking it for me. I've been writing a very big one for this upcoming grand final, and I think we'll be able to get so hyped that it'll just be an instant 3-0, and everyone else will DC, and we'll just win instantly. I just think that's what's going to happen.
So, King, while I do appreciate the memes, could you get a bit more into the 3-2 versus Hyperion, just because it was such an upset?
So what even happened that game? I forget. We were all so hyped up. Oh yes, the Junkrat and the Reaper. So what were they playing? Honestly, first map, we're going into it, right? We had 1 control of the map before, and so we're going into the control map really confident because I feel like we're just nuts on control. I feel like that's probably one of our better map types. I don't know, we're just really good at that type of map just because it fits our play style. So obviously we're really confident in that. We do end up winning that. Second map, that was we just laughed that one off. That was Havana payload. I don't think we've won maybe 2 or 3 escort maps this entire season, and so we're just like, okay, yeah, we're gonna lose. Hyperion hasn't lost a single escort map. That's perfectly fine. We can lose this if we want to, and yeah, we did lose, which is perfectly fine. And then comes King's Row, and I will say, when you put the King on King's Row, it's called King's Row for a reason. I don't know. I'm just good on that map, and I don't know why. But we won. It was kind of like deja vu for like the last map. We lose. We win control. We lose payload, and then we win King's Row, and we had played King's Row before. And then the next map, Hanamura. So Hanamura was very whack. I thought we had a pretty good defense. We got into overtime. Second round. But then they full held us, and it was very sad, very very disheartening. But I think that was honestly good for us in a way, if you want to think about that, because they get very overconfident. Next map comes around, we're playing Ilios. They 100-0 us first round, and I think at that point they just think, okay, it's over, we win. Like it's done. And then Well comes along, and then they realize, wait a second, this might not be over. We win that map pretty handily. And they end up making some really weird switches throughout the entire control map. So we win well. And then Ruins comes along, and it was a 100-99, insanely close. And I think just in the end, we were just able to clutch out with some key ultimates and just better comms and better macro play.
So in summary, you guys are good at clutching.
We are very good at clutching.
Okay, well, so I think this is going to be a very interesting one going to the grand finals, just because both of your teams are just super confident. I've heard both of you guys talk about how you go into every map confident, even if the even if the odds are incredibly stacked against you. But so kind of, I guess we'll start quiz. Kind of make the arguments for why specifically is your team going to win, outside of just the pure confidence factor coming out from you guys.
Okay, well, A, we're just better. B, I think, personally, I believe in our team a lot because of our comm structure and more or less how smart every single player on our team is. Every single player on our team is a lot smarter than the SR says, and it's really, really obvious because we have been practicing about probably 6 or 7 different comps and scrims ever since the beginning of the season, and surprisingly, you guys have only seen like 2 comps from us in actual games. Want to know why you've only seen 2 comps from us in actual games? Because no one can stop them. No one can shut down Afara, and we're going to keep running that until people shut it down, because it's just free low. It's just basically camping people's SRs and wins. Like, a lot of people on our team know how to make mid-map adjustments accordingly, and because of that, I think that we have just a slight, not even a slight, just a massive edge over everyone else. just because of the fact that we could make those mid-fight adjustments and mid-game adjustments without needing coaches' assistance. A lot of other lower elo teams can't really deal with that, especially when it's paired with the amount of aggression that our team brings out. And I think those two factors combined just basically give us an edge. In my opinion, I think it's going to be an edge to give us a 3-0s, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just too confident.
King, what's your response to that?
Okay, so you want to talk far and being able to change mindset in the middle of a map? So I'll give you a situation. We're down 0-2 against this team called Odyssey Esports. Now they're a pretty good team. They're running meta. And then we run a Pharah and an Ashe. Extremely comfort pick, and we roll them for the rest of the series. And besides that, so let me tell you about some stats. So currently, confidence, we are on an 8-game win streak going into these finals. We haven't lost a match since our very rough start. We were four of our players were picked for All-Stars out of our starting 6. We have Emmy, tank MVP, insane at the game. I might be a little biased, but Glide Guy should have been DPS MVP. He's by far the best hit scan in Owlet. I just don't think people see that because they see the number 5 seed and they automatically think maybe people from that team aren't the best and they shouldn't be picked for All-Stars. We have the best coaches in Owlet. I don't think I don't think I can guess anywhere near the amount of hours they put in pre-match. Literally, I'm pretty sure I've told you this before, Amo. We literally know what the enemy team is running before the coaches tell them. Before the enemy coaches tell them, we already know what they're running. They have literally pages on each specific player on what they run, how their play style is, in just a whole separate channel, and it's just filled with information. And they have us read beforehand, and it makes so much things simpler. Obviously we've seen Titanic on the Pharah, and our response is going to be Glide. The man, I'm a Pharah player. Obviously, he's had experience with Pharah now because I play a lot of Pharah. So I think you're gonna have to show us what you said. You had 6 or 7 comps. So we're gonna have to see those other 4 or 5 comps that you guys run. Because I don't think the Pharah is going to work, and it's going to be very interesting to see how you guys go into my Pharah. And then if you guys can counter the Pharah, the Junkrat. I think that's going to be very, very interesting to see. I think we could definitely have some Pharah Ashe, or I saw you guys running Widow, some Pharah Widow setups, and I think that'll be really interesting, and I think it's gonna be a great match. But I just can't see it going very long. I think the 3-0 is going to be there. And I just can't see you guys winning. I'm gonna be completely honest.
I mean, all I can say is, you ever heard of the character called Diva?
I have heard of a character named Diva, but what I haven't heard of is one player on your team. I don't know anybody on your team.
Seems like that's a trend with the Owlet community, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
I wonder
considering how
why.
many All-Stars that we got nominated for, even though we're second, that stuff. But, All-Star, really, All-Star doesn't matter. There's only one person that was talking about All-Stars. We're going to talk about that night. But, before then, no one really cared about awards, at all. Because, to be honest, you get an award in a league, that's awesome. What happens after that? Nothing. We're more or less focused on improvement during the league. Yeah, winning's awesome. We're going to put all of our effort into winning. But over the course of the season, we've been putting a lot of effort instead of taking each game individually, just improving our players, right? Because we know, in the long run, that a lot of leagues... I'm not saying Owlet does this, because I think Owlet's a really good league, but a lot of leagues in general have a lot of people in it that focus more on winning rather than actually improving your players. And that's why I see a lot of leagues have teams that disband, because their only goal is winning. When they can't achieve that goal, they freak out and they lose, and they just leave each other. But we'd rather focus more on improving our players and stuff like that, and that's why we put a lot of effort into coaching them and helping them learn the game at a very high macro level, especially our off tanks. With Flock, absolute god, just swapped over from the console, absolute gamer. He is probably the silent carry of our team. Everyone talks about the Titanic Pharah, and yeah, Thai is really, really good at Pharah, but Flock is very, very good at off tank, and I think he honestly could probably shut down your entire game plan with both the Pharah and the Widow, and even the Junkrat, because if you guys can't win without a specific projectile character in a form of spam, I don't know what to tell you, because a lot of Overwatch right now is not really suited to the spam meta, and a lot of spam can be just and be like actually solved and actually like dealt with just by pathing alone. And when you path around spam, like not much you can do. You can't insta kill a target as fast as you want to if we don't give you the chance to insta kill a target. So it's gonna be pretty interesting how you like actually fare against a team that knows how to path and knows how to actually divert spam. Because if you can't get your May win condition off, I don't see you guys winning at all. Like straight up, a lot of teams pride themselves on having good DPS, but if you don't give their DPS any time to shine, there's no way that they can do anything, and they'll just honestly get kind of shut down pretty hard.
That's very fair. That's very fair. So you have a good diva player, I heard then, right? Right.
We have multiple.
So we have this insane. We have two insane diva players. Anyway, the name of Zentis and Emmy. Emmy, I've previously mentioned Owlet tank MVP for minors. Hyperion, they ran the diva. Whatchamacallit, Odyssey, they ran the diva. And I'm not gonna say that Flock is worse or better than Hyperion or Odyssey Esports diva. But I was still able to, and Glide as well. I'm not gonna say it was only me and my entire team. We were still able to find those instant picks that you would find with spam through the diva. So I'm not really sure how the diva alone is going to be able to counteract all of that damage. But hey, I'm sure you guys will find a way if you guys are so confident. I believe.
I mean, I think what Kuzi is saying is that their diva is better than the ones you faced off against. I mean,
no doubt.
And so their divas can be able to put more work in against your guys' DPS.
But can they make defense matrix last longer?
It doesn't need to last longer. You know, have you heard of a thing called a wall?
But
I don't think
there's a
spam
thing
can go through a
called
wall.
balancing Junkrat. I'm gonna call them balls. The chat's gonna laugh at me, but the projectile that come out of the junk shooter thing,
A grenade?
a grenade. They're a ball. They're a ball. The balls that come out of the grenade shooter thing, they can actually bounce off walls. So I could just like lob them over, or I could log them off. And yeah, then the environment, it really doesn't do much for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, true. That is why Junkrat is running every single Owl game. So, I mean, you are right there. Why didn't I think of that? Junkrat just doesn't have a counter.
Maybe he doesn't.
Bounce it off the wall.
He doesn't. It's true.
It's crazy.
I mean that's why we've been winning.
Yeah,
So
I can see that.
you guys have talked about tank line and support and DPS line quite a bit. Can I hear some of your arguments involving support lines? I'm very familiar with. Well, actually, I remember a number of players from both of your guys' support lines. So, if you guys kind of want to get into some arguments about whose support line is better, I'd be interested to hear those.
Oh
We can
yes.
start it off.
Well, yeah. Well, I was gonna say let's start with QZ because King was just talking for quite a long time.
Nah, that's fine. Let him go. Let him
Let me go.
wind him up like a Beyblade.
Oh, I got some water. Alrighty, let's go. So there's this man called Speak to Ryan. Now this man, I have him at 50% for Discord audio because he will yell and yell, and it's absolutely amazing what he does for our comms. The man is a god on Ana. His nades, I'm sure you saw in the hype video, just absolutely off the charts. If you get naded, he will. If you get grabbed, he will find the way to nade you. His sleeps absolutely insane. And whoa, so we got, and then we come to the blue beam herself, Aqua, or I guess for Rainbow's enjoyment, I'll call her a Lucio player as well.
She does play Lucio.
Nah, she's a Mercy one trick. She will be. I will make her a Mercy one trick. Now her blue beam. Now I don't know how much damage the freaking blue beam boosts you by, but I swear hers boosts it by like another 10%. It's kind of crazy the work she can put on Mercy, the reses she can pull off, absolutely insane. And then so we've also got some insane depth. We've got who's Derpy, the I won't say that it's an inner joke in my team, but the Mexican music man himself, inside joke, the Baptiste of the century, He's the perfect sub for whenever Speak or Aqua are maybe feeling a little down. Maybe they aren't feeling themselves, and we could put him in, and we will play the exact same way we played if we had Aqua or Speak in. So a lot of depth there. Now I will say I remember. So I will share a good story. I'm gonna keep rambling for a second while I have the spotlight. I remember. So this was what? When did the league start? August.
Yeah.
So QZ, do you remember me at all?
No.
No. Okay.
Who are
So
you?
I'm gonna give you a situation. So you got this man named King, and he's trying out for your team. Well, this was like August, beginning of August, before the season started. You got this man. His name is King. He's trying out for you for this Owlet tournament, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's trying out for Hitscan. And the man actually he plays pretty good. He plays pretty good. And you offer him a spot on the team, and then he says no. And then he says, you know what? I'm joining this team called MSBY. I think they are better. And I mean, obviously, we have been playing out of our minds, and I think that maybe choosing MSBY was definitely the right move. And I will be able to prove that to you. We haven't scheduled finals yet. Shoot, I can't say a date.
No,
But we will have I will prove this to you. Grand finals day.
I'm hearing a lot of talk, but I'm not hearing a lot of action. I'm not gonna lie. I'm hearing a lot of yap, but I've studied.
King
a
is
lot
very
of VODs.
skilled in that. Yes.
Yeah, he's skilled in saying things. I don't know if they're the right things, but he's saying things.
Did I not talk about Speak? And
Yes, you did. You did.
Yeah, we
talk
don't need
about
we don't
Speak.
need to hear that again.
Oh,
We heard it. It was long enough.
Okay.
I've studied a lot of VODs from every single team in this league except like the really bottom ones. But we don't talk about that. I've studied a lot of VODs, and to be honest, I don't think your support line is as good as you think it is. Speak to Ryan, pretty good on Ana. Anything else? Yeah. I just think that we have more depth in our like literally 7-player roster than you do with your entire roster, like every single player, and it's kind of hilarious. Like every single player in our roster can play every single like character in their specific role at the exact same level, which is really high for this league, and it's kind of funny because it doesn't mess with our comp structure at all, and that's a really, really, really big advantage that I see us having. Also, just let's go back to our support line. Like Geekake, honestly, pretty sick. Like she's really, really, really good. She's literally a main support that came over to practice flex support, and she's probably the best flex support in this league, which I think is hilarious because no other flex support can do the amount of calling that she does while also popping off the way that she does, and like consistently. As soon as she joined the team, we have dropped one map after we lost to Hyperion. One map, but not including playoffs. It is insane the amount of work that she has put in for this team due to comms and like actual mechanical ability. And Pog on that main support is honestly goated. He is such a sick Aussie, and no one can even contest him on any character that he plays, especially the Mercy, because you see him in that backline going for that res. Who's
Dude,
gonna kill Pog? No one.
He
Pog
gets
is-
off some
I
sick
remember
presses.
Pog.
Like, yeah.
No one's gonna kill Pog. Why? They're too scared of Pog. He's gonna send him to the line down under.
He
Like,
is Pog.
he is literally Pog. Like, I just don't see another support line having the same influence and like tempo, like control that we have as a support line with any other team in the league. Obviously, I can't listen to comms of other teams, but like considering how smart Geek and Pog both are, I think the information that they're getting out is a lot more valuable than other people's information. And I see that a lot with lower level teams and how they just like they kind of scream. They're not really screaming the right info, but they'll scream to get info out. It might not be the right info, but they'll still do it, and I applaud them for that. But if you can get out better information while also getting out like actual like like mechanical ability, like hero plays, like with online aids and stuff like that, if you can get out like super like intellectual like actual calls mixed with that, I don't see like any other support line at this level that can do both other than like Geek and Pog. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just the biased Andy over here, but I don't see another support line being able to contest ours.
Okay. Well, I will send you a video of Speak calming sometime, and we'll have a good chat. And maybe you can send me some of Pog's calming or the other support. Sorry, I forget the name.
I mean, I assume I assume the proof you would need would be in the grand finals there. I mean, so
That's-
I think that
yeah.
I mean, just sure that's gonna be the proving grounds for all of your guys' arguments is how you guys perform on that day, and because really, it's the better team is who is gonna be able to perform then.
I agree.
Oh yeah, 100%. I will say it once and I will say it again. Like our team is more focused on improvement, but if we're winning along with the improvement, it's very hard to see another team actually having a chance because I don't think there is an. I don't know about your scrims stuff like that, but if you're like another team and you're practicing like a couple comps on specific maps and stuff like that every single scrim, that's pretty good. But if you have like 4 or 5 pocket comps that you can pull out on every single map with also like just I don't know. I just don't see other teams. Maybe I'm just blind because I'm saying I don't see a lot, but like I cannot actually like think about another team in Owlet that can run all these little micro pocket comps because how many heroes have you seen Titanic play like in this season?
2, I think.
He probably has the biggest hero pool of any single player in this league. You have only seen 2 of his heroes, and they're not even his best heroes. I think Far is one of his best heroes, and Junkrat's another one of his best heroes, but he still has heroes that are as good as that he has not shown at all. So just keep that in mind when we play.
Well,
Yeah,
then I'm hoping to see them. I'm guessing we will.
I mean, it depends if you can kill the Far.
Oh,
Yeah,
we have this man named Glide Guide.
Yeah, well.
It's hard to fly when your head's off.
I mean, yeah, but if you don't have the chance to pop his head because you're already dead, what's the point?
But how would he die? If
Because he
you're
just got absolutely rolled and smoked by our entire team.
But how does your team do that if they're 100 feet away?
It's called mobility cooldowns.
Mobility cooldowns.
And
So you're
and
saying
or
you're going to
passive-
dive into us?
No, we're actually running double shield. We have pull.
Double shield. So you're going to use mobility cooldowns with a Reinhardt and a Sigma or a Orisa, whatever shield you want.
We're running Rhine Monkey Dive. Have you ever heard of it?
Ryan Monkey Dive. Okay, so you're going to send a monkey.
No, we're gonna send the Rhine at the Widow.
The Rhine at the
Guys.
Widow. So
Yeah.
he can teleport now.
No, he
Guys.
can charge.
Uh-oh, are we getting too off topic?
I'm all I'm saying is you guys are talking about nothing because obviously you guys aren't gonna give your exact comps away.
No, exactly. That's the point.
Yeah, I mean it's really gonna be about when your guys' comps get countered because I imagine your starting comps at some point will get countered by the other team. It is how you're able to adapt from that point, and it's who has the strongest backups to their starting comps. It is, I think, one of the biggest things it is going to come down to. So I think Quizzy makes a good point, or QZ makes a good point on that of saying he thinks Koala Kings does have a really good and strong backup comp list.
Yeah, I do think comps are going to be countered. I definitely think that's just how Overwatch is played, It's going to be a long series. Hopefully, maybe. Well, honestly, I wouldn't mind 5 maps. I think I like playing Overwatch, so I'm down for 5 maps. I'd take another 3 too.
Oh yeah, y'all better give me another 3-2. I'll be
I mean-
disappointed if it's 3-0.
I'll give you a 3-0, quick little sweep, and then run off with our trophy. But more than that's a disappointment.
I didn't know there was a trophy for second place.
I mean, we've essentially gotten that trophy in the regular season. We're upgrading now. We're getting first place trophy.
Okay. Well, when you guys can beat the first seed team, which I guess you could say currently is us, we can talk.
Are you though?
Well, no, you're still the 5th place seed. That doesn't change. That was cemented back in the regular season.
Yeah.
I will say a question I meant to ask earlier, but you guys kind of got into it. Were you guys on Koala Kings expecting to go up against Hyperion, or were you thinking there's a good chance MSBY was going to win?
Either. I think both teams were kind of even. I never really thought Hyperion was that good of a team, and I thought MSBY was also a pretty average team. So them kind of meeting in the finals when Hyperion was looking a bit worse for wear, MSBY was looking a bit better. I was kind of expecting MSBY to win just because of momentum factor, but there was always that doubt in the back of my mind. It's like Hyperion could win just by putting Ryan on the field because their main tank can land fatty shatties.
It was Ryan v Ryan nearly that entire match.
Yeah, DPS trash, right, the king? Yeah.
I just can't agree with that. But go keep on talking.
Debates aren't for agreement. So, to be honest, like going into the fun, like after we won our game, just watching your game, which was still 1-1, which was pretty kind of sad. But like watching how long that was, just kind of showed off a lot of weaknesses for both teams, and it's very easy to exploit. Like, to be honest, if we had the chance to replay Hyperion with our actual main tank in, and when it wasn't the hog meta, Jesus Christ, like that was a horrible meta. I hated that. But like with our actual main tank in, I think we could have steamrolled Hyperion. Like they won off comfort picks. So looking how kind of both teams in MSBY and Hyperion both just played comfort picks the entire round really showed their lack of flexibility because both teams played 2 comps. I mean, you guys played 3 technically with the double sniper as well. But there wasn't a lot of variety. It was kind of just those 3 comps, but played on different maps. So I kind of like looking at your comps compared to Hyperion's. Your comp was probably better than theirs, so I wasn't surprised that you won in the slightest. But going into this next game, you guys better be prepared because you can't just get away with running those couple comps on the same maps because against the unbridled amount of aggression that teams have at higher levels, it just doesn't work.
Well, I mean, so you said you have played only 2 comps, and so this is what's gonna happen is our coaches, they're gonna get together those gremlins, as us players like to call them, and they're going to study, and we're gonna go up 2-0, and then you guys are going to bring out a whack comp, and maybe you do win a map, but maybe you're a boom, so that maybe it is a 3-0, but maybe you do bring out a comp that's like, oh shoot. We didn't think you guys could play that, and maybe that does happen. So we're still up 2-1 though. But then our coaches, their big brains are like, they're already in their heads thinking, okay, we've already lost this map. Let's think about how we can win next map. We only need 1 more map to win, and so we beat you next map, and so it is a 3-1. So I think our biggest thing is we're insanely adaptable to what the enemy team can play. Obviously we've won both games 3-2. It's come down to the last moment, like certain comps like that can win it all, and I think that's what makes us so good. Like obviously, we said it before, we're insanely clutch, and I think that's a lot due to our coaches, having trusting us to run these just completely counter comps. So you guys, I'm just gonna say it as well. You guys have only seen what you said. We ran 3 comps. We've only seen 3 comps of ours. And I think it'll be nice to see some. I definitely think we're running a lot of mirror during this match. And I think that's gonna be really awesome to see me versus Titanic.
I mean, if you're alive long enough to fight them, then maybe. You never know.
But who would kill me?
This conversation has already happened.
I
think it's pretty clear that it was Flock. I think is what he said. I think some pretty bold claims out from both of you guys. Some insight into your guys' mentality coming into this grand finals match. I am already super hyped. I honestly wish it was happening right now. We could just get straight into grand finals. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be another kind of longer wait for your guys' matchup. I'm still really hyped for it. I think both you guys have really good chances and are going to have a really great showing in that grand finals match. But so that is all we are going to have here for the Nest today. Thank you guys both for coming on and having this beautifully eloquent conversation we have had here.
And just intellectuals, to be honest.
Yes, clearly the biggest intellectuals here in the Owlet tournament. I mean, not a lot of competition, so that might be true. But yeah, so that is all we're going to have as the final Nest episode. Thank you guys for tuning in this week. Thank you guys for tuning in all the previous weeks. Really appreciate it. And I want to give just last shout out here to Silent Marine, who has produced all but one of the episodes for the Nest. Really appreciate all the work he does every week. But yeah, so make sure to tune in to both the majors and minors games, which are going to be coming up soon. I think both of them are going to be after the weekend. There's going to be just really exciting. So that is all we have.
Goodbye.
Adios.